Hello and welcome to another Royal Reviewer channel episode, and in today's episode we do another article review and critique courtesy of the Daily Mail Online. Now this article was written by Caitlin Hitt and published on the 30th of June 2018. Okay, so let's go straight into the headline, which of course is attention grabbing immediately because it reads, "What will happen when the Queen of England dies?" Now I think I have touched on this in a few videos previously. In fact, I did make a video on Operation London Bridge, which I'm sure this article will mention, so please do go back and take a look at that video if you want to. But let's go straight into this article, which reads, Queen Elizabeth II became Queen in June 1953, shortly after her father's death. At 92 years of age, Queen Elizabeth II is the longest serving British monarch ever. Prince Charles, the Duke of Cornwall, and of course the Prince of Wales, is next in line to inherit the royal throne, or rather the throne. Queen Elizabeth II's recent health struggles have the British public worried about the beloved monarch's fate. I would dispute that completely because, you know, yes, people might be concerned, but people know that it was just a summer cold, and I think this article is trying to be a little bit provocative in its tone, but let's carry on anyway. On Tuesday, the 92-year-old cancelled a scheduled appearance at St Paul's Cathedral in London, England. Buckingham Palace released a statement about her absence, saying the Queen is feeling under the weather today. It was just a summer cold. The Duke of Kent, Queen Elizabeth II's cousin, was sent to the 200th anniversary of the Order of St Michael and St George instead. It was just a precautionary measure because the Queen had been very busy and had caught a summer cold. Anyway, Her Royal Highness, rather Her Majesty that should be, has had a long healthy tenure on the throne, rarely having to skip events for health related reasons. That is true. Still, as the Queen gets older, Brits and other royal fanatics alike are left with questions about the future. Well, I think most people know what will happen, but let's carry on. What happens when the Queen dies? When Queen Elizabeth II dies, a code word will be used to inform the Prime Minister. The Guardian reported that this code will be "London Bridge is down," and that's what I referred to earlier. The majority of the staff at Buckingham Palace and associate properties will be sent home, according to Business Insider. England will come to a stop to commemorate her passing. Business Insider reported that this standstill will last about 12 days and will cost Britain a pretty penny. Well, when they say Britain will come to a standstill, of course, you know, shops aren't going to shut, shopping malls aren't going to shut, the stock trading market isn't going to shut. Businesses and things will carry on. There will just be a lot of commemorative things on the television and that type of thing. And of course, you know, some jobs with regard to the royal family may shut down temporarily in respect out of mourning, but Britain as a whole is not going to come to a complete standstill. They are wrong on that account. Anyway, the date of both the funeral and the coronation of her successor will be marked as formal holidays from that moment forward and will run the country between 1.2 billion and 6 billion pounds. Again, I don't know how they've come to that kind of a figure. I think that is an impossible figure to come to, so I think we'll park that issue for the moment. Anyway, the BBC will cancel comedy shows during the mourning period, which will end with the funeral 12 days after her death. The Daily Beast reported that if Queen Elizabeth II dies during the overnight hours, the BBC will have to stop their programming and show the BBC One feed for the announcement. That is true. Reporters with the BBC reportedly practice for the announcement from time to time. That again is true. They also keep black clothes on hand to avoid being inappropriately dressed in the event of a death in the royal family or any other national tragedy for that matter, and that is indeed true. The announcement will take place at 8 AM GMT if the Queen dies at night. If the announcement comes during work hours, the London Stock Exchange will most likely close. Well, I will use the term most likely. I actually don't think it will. I think it will just carry on. Anyway, you can expect statements of condolences to pour in from government officials and crowds of mourners to begin to assemble. After her passing, the words to the national anthem will change too. They'll be updated to reflect the death. Of course, it will change to "God Save the King." Flags will fly at half-mast and tourist attractions will close. Meanwhile, at St James's Palace, an accession council will be underway to formally declare Queen Elizabeth II's successor. The new monarch will then be sworn in. After that, the nation's politicians will swear allegiance to their new ruler. The Queen's body will lie in state throughout all of this time. This means her body will be held in Westminster Hall, allowing members of the public to file in and pay their respects, and no doubt sign books of condolence. During this time, there may be a vigil of the princes, during which the Queen's grieving male family members may be called in to relieve official guards watching over the Queen's body. And I wouldn't put it past Princess Anne to step in and do that too. I'm just putting that out there. I could just see her doing that. Anyway, after this period ends, the Queen will be laid to rest. She's been involved in planning bits of her own funeral throughout her lifetime, according to the Daily Beast. Well, that indeed is true. The service will be led by Justin Welby, the Archbishop of Canterbury. It'll likely be shown around the world. It will begin with the Queen's coffin being taken to Westminster Abbey by a gun carriage. Her body is then expected to be laid to rest in any of a number of places. Some believe she'll be buried in Balmoral, while others think it'll be Sandringham. Others think she may be buried next to her father, King George VI, at St George's Chapel in Windsor. Well, I'd like to pull that paragraph completely apart, because we know where she is intended to be buried. She is intended to be buried at St George's Chapel in Windsor, in the same vault as her father and mother. A year after the Queen's death, the next King or Queen will be crowned. The coronation will be celebrated across the UK. New money will have to be minted, police officers and soldiers will have to get new uniforms, passports will change, as will stamps. Not all passports and stamps and money will be changed straight away. It doesn't all have to be done in one go. It'll just be a natural process of when things are replaced, it will be updated and replaced with the new monarch, which of course will be King Charles, or whichever regnal name he chooses to take. Queen Elizabeth II names a successor. Queen Elizabeth II named her son Prince Charles the heir to the throne in April 2018. No, she did not. She asked that he take on the head of the Commonwealth role from the Commonwealth nations, which they agreed to, but she did not appoint him heir to the throne. That actually happens automatically and is enshrined in law the very moment that Prince Charles was born. Anyway, per People magazine, the Queen said this of the announcement: "It is my sincere wish that the Commonwealth will continue to offer stability and continuity for future generations, and will decide that one day the Prince of Wales should carry the important work started by my father in 1949, which indeed they did." They agreed to Prince Charles being the successor to the head of the Commonwealth role. By continuing to treasure and reinvigorate our associations and activities, I believe we will secure a safer, more prosperous and sustainable world for those who follow us. A world where the Commonwealth's generosity of spirit can bring its gentle touch of healing and hope to all. Prince Charles will be officially named the Queen's successor by the Accession Council after her death. After that, he'll have the option to change his name, selecting a regnal name from his Christian or middle name. He may choose to use his own first name, but he'll have the option of Philip, Arthur or George, and it is anticipated that he may choose George and become George VII. Queen Elizabeth II sick in 2018. Fans of the royal family grew worried on June 28th when Buckingham Palace released a statement saying the Queen, who seldom misses an event, would be skipping her scheduled appearance at St Paul's Cathedral in London, England. The palace said she was feeling under the weather. Her cousin, the Duke of Kent, was sent in her place to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the Order of St Michael and St George. The Express reached out to the palace the following day for an update on the Queen's health. They said there was no change in her status. A doctor was not called to tend to the Queen, and she travelled to Windsor, England as planned. And of course, no engagements are due to be cancelled for the upcoming week. Okay, that seems like the end of the article now, and I think I'll rest the article on this lovely picture of the Queen. Okay, a lot of information to take in there. Quite a little bit that I kind of unpicked in the article. Some things were accurate, some things were not so accurate, and some things we just completely don't know until it happens. So please let me know your thoughts and comments on this in the comment section below. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you know whenever I upload a new video. So from me in Shropshire, goodbye.